As Lindsey Vonn locked into the starting gate at Crans, Montana this week, she wasn't merely a 41-year-old athlete. She was a physiological anomaly. By every rational metric, this scene was impossible. Come January 31st, 2026, Vonn shouldn't be donning the leader's red bib or clocking 90 miles per hour on a vertical sheet of Swiss ice. She belongs in the archives, a retired icon with 82 victories and a chassis that had long ago succumbed to the law of averages. Yet as the countdown ticked away for the final downhill before the Milano Cortina Games, nobody was focused on her legacy. All eyes were glued to her knee, specifically the titanium hardware replacing a joint that had disintegrated years ago. Then chaos struck. A jagged landing, a brutal compression, and a violent spin into the catch fencing that left the world's most decorated speedster snarled in the mesh. She lay there clutching her left leg while rescue choppers circled like vultures overhead. For 5 agonizing minutes, the skiing world stopped breathing. Was the dream dead? Was the 2026 return a bridge too far? But Vonn rose. She skated to the finish line, face twisted in pain, and immediately pulled the plug on the next day's Super G. Hobbling toward the medical tent, she dropped 3 words that define her entire existence. Doing my best? From anyone else, that's a cop-out. From Lindsey Vonn, it's a declaration of war. Even with a bionic knee and a fresh wreck, she's still targeting the Olympics and she has zero intention of pumping the brakes. To grasp the gravity of this crash, you have to understand the mechanics under the hood. Back in 2019, retirement wasn't a choice. It was a mandate. She had no anterior cruciate ligament, no meniscus. Bone ground against bone in a relentless soul-crushing friction with every single turn. She didn't walk away because she lost her speed. She left because she blew her shock absorbers. April 2024 flipped the script. A robot-assisted partial knee replacement offered a mechanical fix for biological failure, a titanium alloy surface achieving what rehab never could. It was Mako robotic surgery, a system so precise, it placed the implant within a fraction of a millimeter of her natural anatomy. This wasn't just a medical procedure, it was a tactical overhaul. For the first time in a decade, Vonn could walk without agony. And for a gravity addict, pain-free walking is just a gateway drug to skiing without limits. The 2026 comeback isn't a PR stunt. It's a live experiment. Can a human frame augmented by titanium handle 3.5 Gs of force in an Olympic downhill turn? History says no woman has ever won at this level past age 34. Vonn is 41. She's pushing the envelope of sports science and defying the expiration date on athletic performance. She's treating her own body as a prototype for an era where retirement is just a temporary condition. But the Crans Montana wreck proved what robots can't fix: the margin for error. At 41, you don't bounce off the snow, you break. As the airlift began, the brutal reality of her gamble came into sharp focus. The Montla show course is a beast. It's technical. It's lightning fast. And on January 30th, it was shrouded in the fog of war flat light and low visibility. These are conditions where bumps are invisible until you feel the impact. Vonn dropped in 6th, absolutely flying. She clocked the fastest split at the first interval. She attacked the course with the reckless abandon of her 2010 self-aggressive and totally committed to the line. Then the compression hit a jump that launched her off balance. Her left pole went airborne, skis spun out, and she slammed into the nets with force enough to total a sedan. Witnesses say she stayed down for minutes. Officials scrubbed the race instantly. A deafening hush fell over the finish area. This wasn't just another spill. This was the nightmare scenario. When she finally stood, she favored her left knee, not the titanium one, but the good one. That's the psychological trap of a comeback. You guard the injury so fiercely that the rest of the chassis buckles under the load. As she dangled from the helicopter cable, it looked like the final curtain. The end. But Lindsey Vonn doesn't do traditional endings. Hours later, she was on Instagram, no pity party, just a message to her squad vowing that the Olympic mission remains active. It was a tactical retreat, a calculated withdrawal, and likely the smartest play she's made all season. By January 31st, the call was made. Vonn would skip the Super G. Casuals might see defeat. Strategists see surgical preservation. The Super G is the most dangerous game for a veteran. Unlike the downhill, there are no training runs. You get one inspection, and then you send it. The sport demands violent torque, snapping turns, and instant direction shifts that tear at the body. Pulling out wasn't surrender. It was a tactical retreat to save herself for the big show, the Olympic downhill in Cortina d'Ampezzo, where she's already claimed victory 12 times. She has memorized every ripple in the ice, every shadow, and every terrifying drop on that peak. Super G points are meaningless right now. All that matters is getting her knee to hold together for 90 seconds of hell in Italy. Call it the veteran's gambit, the realization that mastering the end game isn't about doing it all. It is about precision sacrificing a World Cup podium today to guarantee her spot in the gate on February 8th. She is ruthlessly cutting her losses. She knows her body has a finite number of miracles remaining, and she refuses to burn one in the Swiss fog when Olympic gold awaits in the Italian sun. So why take the risk? She already holds 82 wins and 3 Olympic medals. With her brand legacy and bank account, she never has to touch snow again. But this isn't about hardware. It is about autonomy. Lindsey Vonn didn't walk away in 2019 on her own terms. She was forced out broken beyond repair, a casualty of her own success, whose body finally betrayed her will. The 2026 return is strictly about rewriting the final chapter. That titanium knee has gifted her the one thing she lacked 6 years ago, a choice. She is back to dictate her relationship with the sport, determined to be the architect of her exit rather than its victim. Yet a darker truth lurks in addiction to the red line. Vonn admitted she misses the raw speed more than the victory itself. She craves that terrifying proximity to total disaster. For a racer like her, the safety of retirement felt less like peace and more like a slow death. Inside the medical tent at Crans, Montana, she wasn't just scanning for torn ligaments, she was testing her resolve to push the envelope one more time. Her simple response, "Doing my best," proves the fire still burns. She will gamble the titanium, her legacy, and her one good knee for just another 90-second hit of adrenaline. Gold in 2026 is irrelevant. Vonn won the moment she stood up from that safety net in Switzerland. Any other 41-year-old with a partial knee replacement would take that crash as a cosmic sign to quit viewing the airlift as the logical end to a foolish gamble. But Lindsey Vonn is a different breed. She proves the boldest move in sports isn't clinging to a pristine history. It is the audacity to risk public failure to crash, take the helicopter ride, endure the mockery about her age, and still look them in the eye and say, "I am not done." She is no relic. She is a pioneer showing the next generation that a career doesn't have to end in tragedy. It can end with a choice, and whether she medals in Italy or comes in dead last, the story is written. Refusing to let injury dictate her goodbye, she used technology and sheer grit to force her way back into the spotlight. As the path to Milano Cortina tightens, the margins for error disappear. The ice will turn to concrete, the doubters will scream, but Lindsey Vonn is already waiting at the gate. When you stop chasing a ghost of your past self, you finally have space to evolve into something more dangerous. A survivor, a tactician, a titanium legend. The Olympics aren't happening to her. Lindsey Vonn is happening to them, and she is far from finished. So where do we stand? Mikaela Shiffrin chasing 100 wins might be the headline, but Vonn is the final boss of the 2026 Games. She is the phantom haunting the entire field. Rivals like Sofia Goggia and Mikaela Shiffrin aren't just racing the woman. They are racing the legend. They know if she steps into that start house in Cortina, the mountain is hers, for she has battled that peak 50 times. She skis the course in her dreams, and while the rookies rely on fast twitch muscle, Vonn relies on predator-like pathfinding. She knows exactly where the speed hides within the ice. But the wreck at Crans, Montana changed the calculus, leaving her 7 days to heal a battered knee and a rattled skull. She must clear a medical evaluation before Wednesday's first training run. The pressure has turned inward. She must convince her own survival instincts that doing 80 miles per hour is a good idea. She is in the tactical phase now where every hour of rehab, every ice pack, and every minute of sleep is a strategic move. She is no longer training for brute strength. She is training for perfect equilibrium. If she steps into that starting gate on February 8th, the world will witness the most electrifying 90 seconds in the history of the slopes. The hype isn't about a guaranteed win. It is about the sheer spectacle of finding out if the impossible can actually become reality.